Hello, I'm DelusionDispeller to talk to you more about types of traits that you may see in somebody that was brought up in a dysfunctional situation. Another trait is called global labeling. What this means is a person has one trait, or a place has one aspect about it, and this dysfunctional or person brought up in dysfunction labels it as a general thing. For instance, someone is selfish, so they say, oh, that's a narcissist right there. Now, the only way somebody can be said to have narcissistic personality disorder, and I've said this before, is if they have a certain number of the total traits. Now, you can't just go down the street and say, oh, the mailman is a narcissist because he's selfish and he's mean to me when I come to get my mail. That's called labeling or global labeling. If a group leader is harsh, so like to the people that he's leading in the group, you can't just say, oh, well, he must be awful, or since he's awful, then everybody in this group must be terrible and cruel and awful like he is. That's also global labeling or generalizing. Just because one person in a group is a certain way does not make the whole group bad. Now, a lot of times it can be that if the leader has gone wrong and the group people are following him, that can happen that way. In that case, that would be a cult, not global labeling. But you have to be careful. You can't just say because one little thing is wrong with something that the whole thing is wrong. That's real common in borderline personality disorder, where a borderline will see something that feels like it's going to be a situation that's uncomfortable, and they automatically throw the whole thing out. So they assume that it's just going to be a disaster, and they stay out away from it or avoid it. Also, avoidant personality disorder, you see that in. Right fighting is another trait of people brought up in dysfunctional families or situations. What that means is you must be right, and you refuse to believe that you might have misunderstood what was said, that you might have an incorrect perception, that maybe your ideas are lacking, whatever. You just believe that you are right and everybody else is wrong. Right fighting. It's kind of a protective mechanism. You've been told you were wrong all your life, so now, darn it all, you're not going to let anybody tell you you're wrong. You're going to demand to be seen as being knowledgeable and correct in everything you say and do. Another trait is expectation of mind reading, is what I call it. What that means is you expect of others things that they're not aware that you're looking for, and then you get upset when they don't act the way you expected. So you might want somebody to do something for you, and you're sitting there expecting them to do it, because of course they should, simply because you want them to, and when they don't, you get angry and you lash out at them, and they're confused, going, I don't understand what the problem is. Well, you should have done this or that. I expected you to do, and they're looking at you like, I didn't know you wanted me to do that. It's kind of like almost expecting them to read your mind in a way and jump to do whatever that thing is that you want them to do, and you become very irate if they don't do it immediately the way that you want them to. Okay, another trait of people raised in dysfunctional situations is making assumptions. For instance, you assume people won't like you. You assume you won't get the job. You assume that you're never going to meet anybody that you can fall in love with or be in love with. You assume that this class is going to be as hard as the last one was, that this teacher is going to be mean like the last one. Or you assume positive things. You assume you're going to get the role in that play. You assume that someone's going to knock on your door and present you with, I don't know, the sweepstakes award or something. But the point is, it's almost like a fortune telling, like you either predict you're going to fail before you start, or you predict you're always going to be at the top, and then you're disappointed when you're not. For instance, if you say something like, if he doesn't look my way, I'll just die, when you aren't even in the room yet. You're just assuming things should happen the way that, or things are going to happen the way that you think they're going to happen, one way or the other. Magnification is another trait. Enlarging your failures when you're successful overall. Like, for instance, anorexics do this. They will zero in on a little tiny bulge of tissue near their belly button and see themselves as being huge and grossly obese. So you see, it's a great exaggeration, and that's why they call it magnification. Kind of making a mountain out of a molehill, I guess you could call it. So stay tuned. I will talk a little bit more on the traits that you may see in somebody that has been brought up in a dysfunctional environment. Thank you.